Welcome back to another episode of the Brew and Ink Podcast. Welcome back to another Brew and Ink Podcast.
Here we are.
Again, you guys have gotten a few episodes of us the past few weeks. You got an Interbrew last week, an Interbrew review of Spider-Man Far From Home. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And if you haven't, now you know what you're going to go listen to next after this.
That's right.
The week before Spider-Man, they got an Interbrew and they got a part of the story in one episode.
It's like a 2-for-1.
Right, yeah.
We really got to be careful. We got to make people work for some of this stuff.
We're getting into the Christmas spirit too early, I think, is what it is. But yeah, how was your Halloween? Did you do anything for the 31st of October?
We did very little. It was actually one of the most anticlimactic Halloweens I have ever had in my life. And and it's a long story, but you know, there was stuff that went on the week before. So my girls got to go to a trunk or treat at the high school. So for some reason, Halloween doesn't happen on Halloween. Like it happens for like a week before, 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
And so my girls got candy, and my son is at the age, he's 14, and he is too cool for anything. He's just too cool.
He didn't dress up.
Although he really likes Steven. Everyone should know.
Yes.
He thinks Steven is the coolest guy. Steven comes over to my house, and my son is the nicest, funnest kid, wants to talk all the time. So he really likes Steven.
I made the cut.
Yeah. Well, Steven likes video games, so he's a hero. He likes me too, and we talk about a lot of stuff, but video games is the thing. So, no, but it was just kind of anticlimactic on the actual Halloween night.
I felt the same way.
Because it was a long story, but we thought my daughter had dance that night. That was her night to have dance. And then we got there and she didn't have dance, so we hadn't made plans. And we just kind of fizzled. It just kind of all fizzled.
You're like, well, and we're going.
It all worked out. We did watch, however, Charlie Brown, the Peanuts Halloween episode, The Great Pumpkin. We do
Kicking
that every
it off.
year.
Yeah, you're getting and then the Thanksgiving one and the Christmas one. Yeah.
Brilliant writing. We might need to do one episode on the holiday Charlie Brown, the Peanuts, because they are brilliantly written.
Right?
Like every time I watch them, I'm like, I see something new. I'm like, oh my God.
You're like, how did I miss that all these years?
He was such a great writer.
Yeah. But yeah, we had a sort of the same deal. They went and did their trunk or treat a couple days before, because here in Georgia, I don't know how it was around the rest of the world, but it was looking like it was going to be raining all day on Halloween, and it poured the day before. So we got the kids out on Tuesday and trunk or treated.
And just so everyone knows, I mean, because this goes worldwide, this podcast goes worldwide. Yes. There were actually people in our city and state who were trying to discuss postponing Halloween.
I missed those conversations. Did you miss this?
This is a whole conversation online. Maybe I just have like those kind of friends on Facebook.
Right.
But it was like, can we just postpone Halloween?
That's not how it works.
Nope, you can't do that. That's just no.
It's not how it works.
Not how it works.
Everything's got to be done beforehand.
So it was gonna be maybe raining and all that stuff.
So we took them out trunk or treat. They each filled up their buckets once already. The next day they're supposed to go again, pouring down rain, so they didn't. Then Thursday was Halloween, and I came home from work, changed real quick, and it was like kids were already out like before 7. I'm like, it's not even dark yet. Like, why are we trick-or-treating already? So we got out at 7:30, went around, and we got down our cul-de-sac and around the corner, and then Liam was like, can we go back home now? And I'm like, you didn't even make it half the distance we made it last year. So, we called it quits early, and I was like, you know what? They already both have full buckets of candy back at home, and they've filled these buckets up already, and they don't need that much candy. So it's like, okay, let's go.
Nobody needs that much candy.
Yeah, no. But we didn't do any parties. We didn't go to the mall. Usually we'll go to the mall, and it's kind of cool because you get to see a bunch of costumes, and you get to show off your costume. So the costume that I bought to take the kids out with was, it's like for a block and a half. But it was good. I think the thing that really put the brakes and the dampener on the whole Halloween for us this year was Liam was really excited to carve his pumpkin. Okay, and I had to stop him. I had to educate him. Because weeks before, he was ready to go, and he was very sad that I was telling him.
Because you can do it too early.
Right, exactly. And so we did the research. I said, look, Liam, this is the window that we have that would be a good window. So I postponed him for like a week and a half, and the Saturday before, we carved our pumpkin. Well, by that Wednesday, the day before Halloween, there was all kinds of mold and fur growing out of our jack-o'-lantern, like some kind of Stephen King alien animal creature. And that was disheartening because we couldn't actually put a candle and a light inside and do the jack-o'-lantern thing.
Now, was it a black pumpkin, like the story?
No. Oh, yeah, from Liam's story. No.
That would have been cool.
It would have been very interesting. No, but we did have a cool green pumpkin that was like all kinds of blob, kind of misshapen, and we didn't carve into that one, so that one stayed strong. But
so here's the question: at what age do you teach your sons to egg houses and roll yards?
I don't know if we as parents do that. I think that's
done, usually a friend's thing.
Yeah, I think that's accomplices.
Yeah, that's a friend's thing. But you would be like the cool dad.
We teach them how to negate the consequences that would follow.
Peer pressure is bad.
Yes. So, anyways, we're done with that holiday, and now we're looking forward to the end of the year. I love this time of year.
Me too.
It's November. It's National Writing Month, NaNoWriMo. That I wake up every morning and I've got that in the back of my head, even though I'm not like participating actively. It's something to kind of know, like there are thousands of other people waking up early or writing throughout the day, making it their mission to.
I've got to write a book this month.
Yeah,
I've got to write a book this month.
Yeah, so I love November. I love the weather, and I don't know. I just I come alive during this time. I feel like in summer I kind of get lethargic, or I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a lot of distractions, but I'm not as focused and driven, and I don't have that like spark of let's create. And then fall comes around, and I don't know, I come alive. So I love this time of year.
You did slur your words a lot more over the summer.
Yeah, it's, you know.
But that could have been all the beer we were drinking.
That too. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So what's our topic tonight?
Tonight's topic is writing spaces.
Writing spaces or writing routines?
Writing routines,
what
writing kits.
Yeah, all of that. Like what's our writing space?
Yes.
So like basically when we sit down to write, what's essential? What do we need?
For me, I need the fall. I need the leaves turning colors.
Yeah.
I need the breeze.
Obviously.
No, yeah. This is a great topic because there's not one answer that's correct. Everyone has their own thing. I think a common thread is some sort of beverage, which is why we named our writers group, our podcast, Brew and Ink, because I think a lot of people find, I don't know if it's so much inspiration as it is just comfort in having a warm beverage, either a coffee or a tea, or they have like a beer or something, depending on what time of day they're writing. But yeah, I find a lot of people, for that, they gotta find a comfort zone for them. And I don't even know if comfort zone is necessarily the best thing, because I'm thinking for myself, yes, it's a comfort zone, but it's got to be free of distractions, but also free of freedoms. Let me unpack that.
Yeah, go for it.
So, I find myself, if I'm at home, just in the studio here where we're at, and I'm writing, it's a great place. I've got lights that I usually have up, and I can, put them on a dim setting, and they'll kind of pulse, and I put them on in like a color mode that I really like, and it's got a great feel to it. Mm-hmm. But when I'm here and by myself, and I need to do a little research here, or there's that piece of equipment over there I've been meaning to put up, or I gotta fix this thing over here, and I'm easily distracted in little, like, quick intervals, or like, let me do this thing real quick. Let me go get breakfast, and then I'll come back, and before I know it, the 2-hour window that I've given myself, or 3-hour window I've given myself, becomes really truncated, and I go, what happened to all the time?
Mm-hmm.
But I find if I go out somewhere, like a coffee shop, or even the mall, there's a lot of places I can go sit at a mall, or a bar. I like to go right at bars, because you can go sit at a bar at the counter. A lot of times they already have plugs and internet and things like that, but at the same time, you're not going to be pulled in a lot of different directions. When I'm at home, there's a high probability, probably a 50 to 60% chance, that just as I'm getting in my groove, one of my young children is going to wake up and want to make breakfast or do something, or my wife is going to need me for something. Even if it's that, hey, go take out the trash or something, and I'm back in 15 minutes, it's just disruptive.
Yeah, you've disrupted it, yeah.
But if I'm at the bar or I'm at the coffee house, nobody bothers you there.
Yeah.
There's nobody. I mean, maybe it's like a 5% chance that someone's going to stop you and talk to you and be interested in what you're doing, or ask you to move, or ask you to do something. So for me, the lack of freedom, the lack of having anything for me to do is actually better for me.
Yeah, so for you, you're saying that you have to have a place where it's obvious this is why you're here, this is what you're doing, where it's kind of like why my wife likes to go to the cabin, is because it's not her house. Right. Like, my wife likes to go to the cabin because she can just relax there. Yeah. Because she's not thinking of all the million things that need to get done, because it's not her house. Yeah. Right? She can just enjoy whatever's there, or just relax, or whatever. And I see that, man. Of course, I don't know that I need that as much, because I don't have the little kids, but I do agree that there is something about being in a public space, being in a public place. And when you have your computer open and you're obviously writing, especially if you put some earbuds in. I always have
headphones. That's the other important part of it.
Then people generally leave you alone. Like, you might have a waiter or somebody in the staff. Are you okay? Would you like another drink or something?
But if you become a regular, if you go to the same place over and over, and they know, this guy just orders one large beer, and then he tips well. Yeah, and then they're happy to let you do your thing.
That's right. So yeah, that's good. So what else? What about music?
So yeah, music is definitely, and part of that is, for me, I do like to feel, even though I just said I like to go to a public space, I actually like to feel very closed off. And so when I go to a coffee house or something, I'm looking for the booth that's in the corner, back up against the wall. I got a wall to my side. I like to feel closed in, and so part of that is, I have earbuds, but a lot of times when I'm going to write, I like to use over-the-ear headphones, like, cover everything. It kind of helps me shut out the world, and also, I don't know, get in the zone. And then, so just the headphones themselves help, but then the type of music, I've got playlists set up that just get me right into the zone that I want to be in. So I'll find myself, like, when I start to write, if I remember to put my music on, like, right when I'm starting to write, if that's the first thing I put on, then I'm usually pretty good. If I find myself distracted in that way, if I put on my music, it'll almost anchor me to the task at hand. And I use soundtrack music, not a lot of stuff that have lyrics, not a lot of stuff that has, crazy ups and downs, but more of just an emotional feeling from the music itself. What about you for music?
Oh, for music, yeah, I have a couple different playlists. Amazon Music has some great stuff too. Yeah. We have Amazon Prime, so just like with the video, they got the kind of their.
That's what I use.
And it works really well. But you're right. Music has to have the right vibe for what I'm writing. Yeah. I don't mind aggressive, even very, progressive kind of music.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm writing battle scenes or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to have that energy, but then also there's got to be, if I know I'm writing a scene that's a little more romantic or whatever, I got to have some of that kind of vibe.
And for me, it's got to be familiar songs. It's got to be songs I've listened to a lot of times before.
Yeah.
That just sink in the background.
I will say sometimes I like new stuff when I write.
Okay.
Because I think it activates my imagination.
Yeah.
I think it's because it's something I haven't heard. Especially if it's like, there is a fine line, because if it's too complicated or good or whatever, like you get all distracted and into it. Because I'm a musician and I know you are too. But so I get really into it. But yeah, it's got to be energy. So I'm listening to music. I don't have to, like, none of these are have tos anymore. Because I really do think that part of the discipline of writing is
the flexibility.
Of just being able to do the work.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times people think like I have to have these
perfect setting. But really it's learning how to flip the switch.
But really it's learning that it's work.
Yeah.
Because here's what I have found. It's always work. The first 15 minutes is always work. Or 30 minutes maybe. Yeah. Usually it's about 15 minutes. Yeah. It's always work in the beginning.
Yeah.
And yes, I don't have to, but I like music. I like to have coffee or tea or something. Usually it's coffee. And then, I mean, my computer, I know where everything is, you know. But sometimes it's good to be uncomfortable. Okay, because I did an interview with on another podcast with a friend of mine, Alan Arnold, who was at Realm Makers a couple years ago when we were there, and he and I hit it off. And he did a session at Realm Makers, which is a writing conference. He did a session there on basically what stories are, kind of the heart of what a story is, and it was more philosophical about storytelling.
Yeah.
And this guy is a storyteller, but he's also, worked at several big publishing houses, and he works for a ministry now, but basically he's really has a lot of experience with this stuff. And he told me, he said being uncomfortable is actually preferable when you write. He said because writing and being creative, like creativity basically, is the solution to tension.
Oh.
He said so.
That's smart. Yeah.
He says so when people tell him like, "Oh, my mom has cancer right now and I'm having it," like really awful, right? I mean, like horrible things, and like my mom has cancer right now and I'm taking care of her and she's in hospice at the house or what hospice this horrible situation. I don't have time to write right now. He tells them, no, write.
Yeah.
Now is the time to write because your life is in chaos.
Yeah.
And we were given creativity to balance that, to bring hope to it, to understand it.
Your emotions are already heightened.
So your emotions are heightened. And that's why we all know it, right? That's why we see the authors in their 10th book.
Right.
They don't have the same passion. They might be good. They're
might
be
not starving
well-written.
artists anymore.
They're not starving artists anymore. Yeah. They're not writing from tension. They're not writing from chaos. They're not writing from these places trying to make sense of the world. You know, now they've got the big house and the car and they're comfortable. So his point is being comfortable can sometimes be the worst thing you can do. Yeah. Because it lulls you to sleep.
Maybe that's why I like going to public spaces, because a lot of times they're not the most comfortable. Your seat's not your favorite seat. You got people all around you. Stuff is happening, and you know that you only have a limited amount of time. You know, at some point, I've got to leave from here. Whereas in the morning, at home, you're going, oh, I got all day. You know, I could work on this. I can do this other thing real quick and this other thing. I think for me, well, let's go back to the comfort thing. I don't know how it is for you guys, your faithful listeners, or you, Britt, but I almost never write in bed. Mm-mm. And the times that I write on the couch are not very productive. Like I've got this chair here because it's very upright. This space itself is, not the most comfortable space to write in. But yeah, the times that I try to write in bed,
no,
it doesn't work.
No. So this is totally original to me. I've never heard anyone talk about this. Mm-hmm. But I write well during football season.
Okay.
And it's because I'm sitting there, and football, to me, isn't a constantly engaged sport.
It's true, yeah.
Right?
You're kind of waiting for the fourth quarter.
You're waiting for this, there's this interview, and there's this. And baseball, if I liked baseball, it would probably be similar.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I like baseball, but just not as much. But for some reason, I end up writing a lot because I'm sitting anyway. Mm-hmm. And instead of just messing around on my phone, or, you know what I mean? Because to me, I get, not bored, but I get kind of like, instead of flipping channels or something like that, it's almost like I can do both at the same time.
You found a good way to
I find a good way to, like, during breaks, I can go back, and I don't know very many people who, I've never heard anyone talk about this.
Yeah.
But I will say this, too, about being comfortable. I agree on the couch can be difficult.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't done this as much recently, but standing and writing is really cool, because you can kind of move around a little bit and come back to it, and your body's a little bit more active, and you can be a little bit more, some people have standing desks, and that's kind of a cool thing.
I haven't thought about that.
So sometimes I do standing when I write as well, and that's worked for me.
Yeah.
So
now I do think a big part of my writing space is the little triggers that I have for myself, the little routines. Like you said, coffee. For me, I like to drink a full glass of water first, like when I wake up, and then after that I've got like a vitamin caffeine drink that I will add to that. And once I've had those two things, and then I put my music on, it's like I've gone through step 1, 2, 3, 4. My body knows, my mind knows, like, okay, here we are. We're now arriving at the get it done process. But I think it's important to be able to build into your writing space, your writing routine, like let them coexist with each other. Like you said, you're going to be watching football. It's going to be a part of your routine, a part of it. And so for you, it's almost a trigger. Like you start watching football, and then your mind starts going, oh, I can write at this point. I can write at this point, because you've taught yourself the triggers and the routine.
Yeah. Yeah, routines are... We have talked about some of the routines before. But yeah, the routines as far as doing it more often and having set times is important. But like I said, for me, I can't eat while I write. Like some people, I guess, maybe they snack. I don't know, but I don't. I can't do that.
Yeah, I usually have a drink, and that's it.
I have something to drink, and then...
You know why? I don't want to get stuff in my fingers.
I mean,
and then I don't want to be typing on my keyboard with that stuff all over my fingers.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's just... I think it's just the activity of, like you're saying, typing, that I just don't...
Yeah.
So...
I do have a writing jacket and a hoodie. I like to, or a blanket.
Really?
Yeah, I like to throw those on. Probably another reason why I like the fall, because I can put those things on, and I think it has to do with kind of that shutting myself off from the world sort of thing. Like, I've got the hoodie up, but when I pull those out, it kind of exudes that feeling of like,
it's
I put it on. Yeah, exactly. What writing space did you use this week to write the next section of our story?
I did it at home on the kitchen table.
You were sitting on the kitchen table?
I was sitting on the kitchen table. Or at the kitchen table. I was at the kitchen table, and I That's kind of been my go-to.
Yeah.
Or standing or sitting, watching if I'm watching football. And I get some of that from my dad. My dad used to, do several things at once. And,
Gotcha.
And when I was younger, I never understood it, and now I kind of do it sometimes. But anyway, but no, this was at the kitchen table. Nice. Mostly on Friday, I think. Or Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
I kind of got to it early, and I finished it up yesterday because we had a busy weekend. But I finished it up weekend.
I did too. I have found a new Panera.
Oh,
that's near my work.
That's one of your spaces.
That is one of my spaces. So it's a nice Panera too. It's got this one row of single seat booths. So like they're booths, but they're only booths wide enough for one person, and they have a plug at each of those little booths.
Nice.
And it's literally 5 minutes from my work. So rather than fighting traffic, rather than sleeping or not sleeping, rather than working here early in the morning and then leaving and fighting traffic and getting to work, close to not on time, I just have trying to build it into my routine just to leave early, go to that Panera, get an hour in, or maybe even 2 if I leave early enough, and then I'm just down the street from work. So it's been working out nicely. It's
nice.
Getting into a
routine, yeah.
Yeah, becoming a writer space. So I'm always happy or excited when I discover a new writing spot.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when it's out and about. My last job, I drove around everywhere, and finding a library or something like that along my route, that I was like, wait a minute, I have a little gem here where I can go.
Yep.
When I find those things, they're exciting. So, what's the name of this chapter?
New Jinn.
New Jinn.
Yeah, because the choices were, we got to put Jinn somewhere else.
Yeah.
Now she's disembodied, quote unquote, from
her
the
drone.
Phoenix ship.
Yeah.
From the drone. And now, where are they going to put her? They got to put her somewhere else. They don't want her just hanging out in the main computer anymore.
She was draining too much power.
That. So, and the choice that won was to put her in a body.
Yes.
Into a semi-android body.
Yeah.
And so I went with that.
Excellent. I'm excited to hear. Let's jump into the story.
Let's do it.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. If you are interested in learning more about writing and how to become a writer, check out our syndication page, seriouswriter.com. They have articles, resources, classes, videos, and a podcast, the Brew Ink Podcast. Again, check out seriouswriter.com. Thanks for listening.
Singularity, Chapter 10, The New Jinn. The sight of Jinn's holographic form freaked me out a bit. I had grown used to interacting with her through other technology. She was designed to navigate and run the immense amount of data on the Phoenix ship. Her posture struck me as human, the bend of her head, the pensive look on her face. When did holotech get so advanced? Then I had another thought. Maybe it wasn't the holotech. Maybe it was Jinn. For a second, I regretted letting her decide. She was the AI, me the pilot. But after all that we'd been through, it didn't seem right for me to make the decision. I cringed at any master-servant ideas. My regret stemmed from a fear. Going into the loader would put her back in another piece of tech, like a ship, more like her design. If we built a body for her, well, she would be like us. Was I ready for that? Jinn sat up and stood. I have made my decision. I would like a body of my own. My heart sank, but I smiled. Great. My tone sounded forced. Could she tell? Captain Harlock nodded. Excellent. I will have Nisha meet you at the medical bay. You're not going with us, I said. They need me on the bridge, she answered. We must make the jump to the Natara system. Wait, I said. I thought you were taking us to the core, to Nexus. We can't go straight there, unfortunately, Harlock said. The IIF can track through this Kepler ring. We need to bounce to another system before heading to Nexus. Her bosom heaved with a sigh. Natara has ways to help us with repairs and more. Nisha can help you. Meet me at the bridge when you're done in the med bay. Jinn raised a finger and a hollow map of the ship appeared in midair. This is the pathway to the medical bay. She waited a few seconds for me to look at it and blinked out before I could respond. I guess she was meeting us there as well. Made sense, there were no emitters in the hallways. The pirate captain left, and I tried to remember the map in my brain, moving the opposite direction from Harlock when I got into the hallway. I got another turn down a separate passage when Nisha met me, walking with me. I thought you were meeting me at the medical bay, I said. I was nearby. I thought I could walk with you so you wouldn't get lost. I cringed. Am I that obvious? Not really. It's a complicated ship. She gestured at my face. A blue boy, huh? Didn't think there were many of those in the IIF. At least not pilots. There aren't, I said. Made it easier for us to believe you're a colonist, though. Most blueies are on the mining planets, right? Mining planets, gas collectors, those kind of things, yeah. The jobs in the Fed no one wants, she said. How did you get to be a pilot? I worked my blue butt off. I grinned. She didn't take the bait of the joke. I bet you had to work harder than anyone else. I did, but that wasn't the hard part. She scoffed. No? I mean, that sucked pulse crap, but when they look at you like you're some kind of special case, like it's so rare that a blue boy could possibly succeed like everyone else, they think it's a compliment. But it just supports their ideas that blueies are stupid and worth fraggers, she said. Exactly. Looking back on it now, I guess it made me more loyal, more willing to believe there are cover-ups about the colonies and everything. It took an AI to disobey an order to show me that I was their slave. I didn't realize that truth until the words left my mouth. I got quiet, and Nisha let me have the moment. We reached the medical bay, and the door whooshed open when Nisha pushed the panel on the right side. Jinn was already in the medical bay, standing in front of a female torso, leaning in the far corner. She had taken a hollow form, the same as the previous one, tall and beautiful. How did she know what I thought was beautiful? I walked past cots and medical equipment to the bionic torso. It reached from the groin to the head. A head? Harlock hadn't said anything about a head, just a torso. I guess this is it, huh? I said. Nisha stood next to me. Yes, it was part of an android project on a colony out on the Bajoro system. Bajoro, I mumbled. That's far. Not far enough for the IIF to leave alone, apparently, Nisha said. The people were dead, but the lab with this torso remained intact underground. It took some digging to find it. We thought there were some bionic parts down there. Many of the crew had bionic or cybernetic parts. If they were survivors from other attacks or destroyed colonies, then it made sense they would need more parts for future rescues. How many were needed for the Zuthras survivors? I pointed to the torso. This looks advanced, like nothing I've ever seen at the IIF. The quantum drive in the head is one of the best I've seen, Nisha said, other than the one we pulled off the Phoenix wreckage. While the form of the torso and head were feminine, the face was blank, eyeless, no mouth, only a rounded metallic shape. That must have been why Harlock suggested it, I said. Jinn turned to us. Were there no arms or legs when you found the torso? No, Nisha said, just this. But we have some other bionic parts that we could retrofit. Like they retrofitted the ship together. Where are these other parts? Jinn asked. Nisha pointed to a wide door on the adjacent wall and walked over to it, opening it to reveal several shelves. One shelf had different eyes, another had hands, and so on. No faces. Finding a pair of arms and legs that match will be interesting, Nisha said, but we can adjust the links if we need to. It'll be functional. Jinn didn't speak, but walked up to the storage closet. Her hollow form passed through me like she was a ghost. Or was I the ghost?
Jinn began inspecting the different parts. I stepped back to give Jinn some room a few paces away, and Nisha joined me. We watched Jinn together, and Nisha leaned in and whispered, "You think this is a good idea?" I sniffed and leaned in as well. "She can probably hear us, you know." "Exactly," Nisha said, "and you didn't answer the question. Do I think what is a good idea?" Nisha motioned toward the hollow Jinn at the shelves, giving it a body. I didn't want to express my own fears from earlier, so I just said, "Why not?" "She won't be tied to a ship or the computers," Nisha replied. "Well, she's not now," I said. "She could take over the ship or any computer you have on board right now." "Will this keep her from doing that anyway?" I shrugged. "Maybe that's why Harlock thought of it," I said. "Easier to contain her if she's in a body like this." "Contain," Nisha said, like she considered it. "Maybe." Jinn didn't turn around when she spoke. "I will be no more contained than I was on the Phoenix ship." She pointed to the different parts she wanted. "I choose these, please." Nisha lifted the communicator to her mouth. "Dr. Hink to the med bay, please." "On my way," a female voice said through the communicator. "I just spoke with the captain and have her instructions to come and assist." Placing the disc back in her pocket, she said to Jinn, "Dr. Hink will piece together the parts and adjust to your needs. We need to be on the bridge." Jinn did turn to us then and looked me in the eye. "I will join you when this is done." "Good," I said. Then I didn't know what to say. Have fun? Good luck? What do you say to an AI that was about to get its own body? With a last glance at the hollow Jinn, Nisha spun on her heel and exited the med bay. I followed close behind. More twists and turns through the ship, and I thought maybe I was starting to get the idea of the layout, as complicated as it was. We headed up and forward, but not in any direct path. There wasn't a direct path. The passageway in front of us widened to a thick double door which opened as we drew near. We walked onto the bridge. Like the rest of the ship, mismatched equipment covered the walls in the oval room with a large view screen directly in front of us. 3 other people sat at stations, 2 on the right and 1 on the left. Captain Harlock stood next to the chair in the middle of the room and turned to acknowledge us as we joined her. "Dr. Hink working with that AI and the droid parts?" the captain said. "Yes," Nisha said. "Good," Harlock mumbled. The Kepler ring grew bigger in the view screen. The slag tree neared it, and the ring began to glow, the event horizon shimmering. "The Tycho ready?" Harlock asked. An older man on the right coughed, hacked up something from his lung, and spoke in a raspy voice. "Ready." "Let's party," Harlock said. The slag tree shook as the Tycho energy propelled us through the folded space and brought us to the other side, a system I had never seen before. Not surprising, since the IIF included 1,000 systems, and there were a few hundred independents out there we knew about, possibly more that we didn't. "Never heard of Natara," I said. "Is it an independent?" "It is," Harlock said. "How did it manage that?" I asked. No system was simply independent and known by the IIF. There had to be a reason for the IIF to leave them alone. "Natara is the home of an old family, one of the founding families of the Fed," Harlock said. "Made so wealthy in the beginning that the family traded its ownership share in the Federation for an independent world. It's a binding contract. It also has a planetary shield and automated defenses that the IIF doesn't want to mess with," Nisha said. "The IIF would break the contract if they could." My brows creased. Why haven't I ever heard of them? "No one has," Nisha said. "Not for a few centuries. It's one of the few systems with resources that will help us. And they help build the core." My brows rose as that statement hung in the air. They help build the core? Harlock frowned at my surprise. "However, Natara's help always comes with a cost, usually more than we want to pay. They are fine, however, with allowing us time to make our own repairs and move on." "What kind of cost?" I asked. "Could be anything," Nisha said, her head lowered. "Depends on what they want." Well, that didn't sound good. A man at the station to our left spoke. "Captain, Natara is hailing us." "On speaker," Harlock said. "Slagtree, welcome back," the voice said over an intercom speaker above our heads. "Good to be back," Harlock said. "Can we help you with something?" the voice said. Harlock turned to me. "What do you think, Mitchell? Should we ask them for help or do it on our own?"
and scene. Very nice. I enjoyed just sitting back and listening to that story and letting it just sink in, like where we're going and what's. I really loved the pause and reflect moment that you kind of gave us from our character's point of view of. Did we make a good choice here?
Yeah.
Did you guys, faithful listeners, make a good choice? And are you going to make a good choice?
Right.
Because we've got 2 more choices coming at you. They showed up to this planet that's outside of the system of the IIF, but could have a lot of resources, could be a good place for them to get resources from. And they have to decide, do they want to get help at probably a steep cost, or do they think they can do this on their own and
just go for it?
Go for it.
Just do the repairs, make the repairs themselves.
They won't really gain anything extra, probably, from, other than what they already have.
I will say, the pirates seem to be good at repairing their own stuff or retrofitting or making do, so that's a viable option.
Yeah.
But it seems tempting to me. That's why, obviously, I put the choices in there. But it seems tempting to me to see, what could these people help with?
It made me
we're
think,
about to go into the center of the whole, the whole big, kahuna.
Yeah.
We might need some extra help. But what's it going to cost us? It's going to it's going to cost something they didn't want to give, right? I mean, that's the implication.
Right. And we and as always, we don't have that figured out.
No,
we're not going to figure that out until you guys make a choice, and then we have to sit down and go, okay, what is this? So this story really could go either direction. Just like this past choice, there was a tie that just could not be broken. It kept going between the power loader and the bionic woman, and the power loader bionic woman, and every time I would rope in some more people to give us some votes to hopefully balance it out.
Or break the tie.
Yeah. It was like so split. So I'm excited that we get to offer you guys
absolutely
a second part, a derivative path, a divergent path of the other one, the power loader, but that will be on our Patreon page, which will probably be launching the beginning of 2020. So look for that at 2020. Right, we're trying to plan it to coincide right with the wrapping up of the story, so that once you have the beginning and the end of it, then you can go back and enjoy what are the other options to it. So again, say the options that they have for this chapter.
So the options are: do they do the repairs on the ship, right? There was the meteor shower or whatever that happened in your episode, the one before it, right? That I thought was really cool, by the way. I know the last episode was really we kind of pieced it together because I did an interview and we did some stuff, but we didn't get to talk about it as much. But I really did enjoy him building trust with them, or he and Jinn building trust with them by helping them with that whole situation.
Yeah,
that was good.
That's actually a very real life, something that people that travel in space actually have to figure out how to avoid, are these small space particles.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
From asteroids and ice crystals and things like that can seriously damage the hull, even though they're super small, and they'll just kind of come out of nowhere from collisions of asteroids and things like debris.
Yeah, you're right. But because it's in space, there's nothing to slow that debris down. So it's coming at a high. They might be small, but they're coming at a high rate of speed. So no, I really thought that was cool. So I tried to bring that back in a little bit. Yeah. And so the choices are they going to just do the repairs themselves, and now that they've kind of lost the IIF, right? They've lost the feds, and now they can kind of come back in, sneak in, maybe. Or they can just do all that themselves when they seem to be pretty resourceful. Or could they maybe see what this Natara system and who meet somebody there?
They got connections.
They got connections there, but they know it's going to cost them something that they may not want to give. So
they're going to have to give up Han Solo into the carbonite.
They're going to have to give up Han Solo and pray that I don't alter it any further. Right? And you gotta have this whole Cloud City moment.
Right.
So yeah, so either they're gonna get more help, which could possibly really help, really assist them in the whole getting to the core.
Yeah.
Or do they just do it on their own?
Yeah. And we were talking about this kind of outside of this episode, but if you guys are looking for other things to enjoy that are like our story, we would recommend go watch Ex Machina or go watch Terminator. Like, these are the things that we grew up watching and liking, and they have, a lot of influence in the things that make us interested in writing sci-fi. Yeah. Even like you mentioned Event Horizon in this episode.
Oh, sure.
And I was like, oh man, that's one of like the best horror sci-fi movies out there. But Aliens, anything that has like the technology and the sci-fi and out in space. What about you? Do you have any movies that you could recommend?
Well, part of it is the classic, to me, of like Star Trek and the Borg.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and Data and like I thought in the Next Generation, such strong characters and writing that they had with, that contrast that Data was a good android and an AI and he's a computer and he's trying to figure out how to be human and all that kind of stuff. But then you had the Borg; they're more like cyborgs,
stimulating everyone.
They were more like emotionless and just not unstoppable, like the Terminator kind of thing. So those kind of contrasts that I thought were really strong in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah.
And even a little bit, what was it, 7 of 9, right? And the Voyager. So I'm kind of a Trekkie, not a big one, but I'm kind of a Trekkie. I like Star Trek a lot. So yeah, all that stuff. I just thought that that it was just real. That sort of stuff was really interesting to me, because I think they're interesting philosophical questions. What is life? What is sentient life?
Yeah.
What makes us human?
Oh yeah, Blade Runner.
Blade
Runner 2020.
That's a great example.
Yeah, or if you want to read the book, go read Do Androids Dream of Electronic Sheep?
Yeah, which is a very different book.
Yes, very different, but those would be our recs
absolutely,
for the end of this episode. Just go out and enjoy you some sci-fi.
Yeah.
But until next time, raise a glass to inspiration and stay inspired, guys.
For a second, I regretted letting her decide. She was the I can't say it. The pirate captain left. Many of the... can't talk tonight. An older man on the right coughed, hacked up something from his lung, and spoke in a raspy voice. Ready? Oh, sorry, I have to do that again. I'm laughing at myself. I'm not a voice guy. All right. Let's party, Harlock said. Slag Tree, welcome back. The voice over an intercom speaker. I can't read. That's the problem. Slag Tree, welcome back. The voice. I can't say it.
Actually.
Choice. What should I give the choices?
No, we'll do that in the next one.
Whoa.